Never look into the mirror at night. This is an old warning passed from grandmother to grandchild. Before Tobena's grandmother died, she gave him that same warning, never to look into a mirror after dark. He thought it was an old woman's superstition. He was wrong. In the village of Iyala, this same warning is passed from generation to generation, whispered more than spoken. Never look into a mirror at night. They say the mirror is not glass at all. It is a door. And doors, my friend, go both ways. This is the story of Tobena, a young man who did not believe in doors that were not made of wood. Iyala sits where the forest meets the river, and like many villages of its kind, it keeps two calendars, one for the living and one for what the elders call the crossing hours, the stretch of night between the last cock's cry and the first grey light of morning. During the crossing hours, mothers cover standing water, they turn clay pots face down, and in every home that owns one, they cover the mirrors. Nobody in Iyala could tell you exactly when this custom began. Some said it came from the river spirits who used still water and polished glass alike as windows into the world of the living. Others said it was older still, older than the village itself. What everyone agreed on was this: a mirror left uncovered at night was an invitation, and invitations once given are not easily withdrawn. Tobena's grandmother, Mama Ijoma, had lived alone in the family compound for 40 years, ever since her husband passed and her children scattered to the city for work. The neighbors respected her, though a few whispered that she kept strange hours, that lamplight burned in her back room long after every other window in Iyala had gone dark. When she passed quietly in her sleep, the house and all its silence fell to her eldest grandson, Tobena, the one who had moved to the city, the one who laughed politely at village stories during holiday visits, the one who believed a phone in his pocket made him modern enough to outgrow superstition. He came back for the burial rites, intending to stay 1 week. He told his friends in the city it would be a week of paperwork and goodbyes. He did not know it would become the longest week of his life. But before we continue, if you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Now, let's get back to Tobena. Among his grandmother's things, in the back room she never let children enter, stood a tall mirror with a crack running down its middle like a vein through stone. Its frame was old carved wood, dark with age, and it was always covered. A thick white cloth draped over the glass, tied at the corners with red thread, knotted in a pattern Tobena did not recognize. On the evening before the burial, his aunt Ngozi caught him examining it. "Leave that be," she said. "That cloth has not come off after sundown since before you were born. Your grandmother checked those knots herself. Every single night, like another woman might check a door is locked." "It's just a mirror, auntie." Ngozi's face did not change, but something behind her eyes did. "That is what your grandmother's sister said too. Ask her what she thinks of mirrors now." Tobena did not ask. He did not even know he had a great aunt whose story ended badly enough that no one spoke her name at family gatherings. He simply nodded the way the young nod at the old, politely and without believing a word. That night, alone in the house for the first time, he stood before the covered mirror with a lamp in his hand. "Old stories," he muttered, reaching for the cloth. Cloth over glass. As if glass cares what time it is, he pulled it away. Nothing happened. The mirror simply reflected the room back at him. The lamp, the narrow bed, his own tired face, a little thinner than he remembered from the city's fluorescent lights. He almost laughed at himself. He draped the cloth back over the frame anyway, not from fear, he told himself, but simply to keep dust off the glass. The burial happened. The mourners came and went, brought jollof and condolences in equal measure, and by the second night, Tobena found himself alone in the compound again, the house heavy with a silence only the recently bereaved understand. He told himself he would leave the mirror covered from then on, and for one night he did. But on the second night, unable to sleep, he found his feet carrying him back to the room, not to uncover the glass, only to sit near it, as if being close to something his grandmother had gathered made him closer to her. He did not touch the cloth. He told himself that mattered. It was on the third night that he noticed it. Restless again, he uncovered the mirror just to look, just for a moment. He reasoned, since nothing had happened the first time. He raised his hand to scratch his cheek, and his reflection was slow, not by much, half a breath. A delay so small he told himself it was tiredness, nothing more. The ordinary fog of a man who had not slept properly in days. But he could not stop looking, and when he smiled, testing himself, his reflection's smile lingered a moment after his own had already faded. But a moment too long, he covered the mirror that night with hands that were not quite steady. On the fourth night, he told himself he would not go near the room at all. He locked its door from the outside and slept in the front room instead, on a mat too short for his frame, listening to the compound's ordinary sounds: crickets, a distant dog, the settling of an old roof. But near midnight, he woke to the sound of cloth sliding against wood, slow, deliberate, like something being unwrapped. He told himself it was the wind. There was no wind that night either. The air outside hung thick and still, the kind of stillness that makes a person's own heartbeat sound too loud in their ears. He did not go and check. He lay awake until the first grey light came through the window, and only then did he sleep. When morning fully broke and he finally forced himself into the back room, the clothes lay crumpled on the floor at the base of the mirror, not falling, but folded, the way a person folds a blanket they no longer need. The next day, hollow-eyed and shaking, he sought out Mama Adeze, the oldest woman left in the village, the only one who had ever spoken to his grandmother about what lived behind the glass. He found her outside her house, grinding melon seeds on a flat stone, unhurried, as though she had been expecting him. "You have uncovered it," she said. Before he had spoken a single word, it was not a question. Tobena's mouth went dry. "How did you know?" "Because you have your grandmother's eyes," Mama Ades said, "and right now they are frightened in exactly the way hers used to be 40 years ago, when she came to me asking the same questions you are about to ask. Your grandmother made a bargain many years ago, before you were born, before your mother was born. There are spirits who walk between worlds when the sun is gone, and most of them only watch. They press their faces to the glass the way a child presses their face to a window, curious about the warm room on the other side, and by morning they are gone, drawn back to wherever such things go. But some are stronger, hungrier, and when they find a mirror that is uncovered again and again by the same careless hand, they learn that hand, they learn that face, and they do not simply watch anymore. Tobena asked, though some part of him already feared the answer. Mama Daisy finally looked at him, and for a moment, he saw something in her face that looked almost like grief. With whoever is foolish enough to let them see a face they can wear, your grandmother did not fear that mirror, Tobena. She fed it, carefully, in daylight only. Glimpses too brief for it to learn her, because a spirit bound to glass must be given something, or it grows desperate and breaks its binding entirely. She kept it small, she kept it patient. For 40 years, she was the only wall between that thing and this village. And now, Mama Adele said quietly. It has had 4 nights of your face, freely given at exactly the hours it is strongest. It does not need to wait for scraps of daylight anymore. It has been fed a feast. Then tell me what to do, Tobena said. How do I undo this? Mama Adeze was quiet for a long moment, and when she spoke again, her voice had lost its certainty. I do not know that it can be undone. Your grandmother kept the door shut for 40 years by never opening it fully. You have opened it 4 times in 4 nights. The only counsel I can give you is this. Leave this house before the sun sets today and do not return after dark. Not tonight, not for many nights. Let it hunger for a face that never comes back, and perhaps in time it will grow weak again the way it was before you arrived. Tobena meant to listen. He truly did. He packed a small bag. He told himself he would sleep at his cousin's house on the other side of the village and return only in daylight, as Mama Edeze had instructed. He left the compound while the sun still hung above the trees, relieved loosening the knots that had sat in his chest for 4 days. But halfway down the village road, his phone rang. It was his younger sister calling from the city, asking about their grandmother's jewelry, a particular gold necklace she wanted to keep, one she believed was in the back room, in the wooden box beside the mirror. He told himself he had time. The sun was not yet down. He would go back, take the necklace, and be gone again in minutes. He did not account for how quickly the light dies in a village with no street lamps, swallowed whole by the forest at its edges. By the time he reached the compound again, found the box, and located the necklace tangled at its bottom, the sky outside had gone the deep bruised color of true dusk. He told himself he would not look at the mirror. He would take the necklace and leave immediately. But the moon was rising full and pale, and it poured through the window like water, and the shape of the covered mirror seemed to breathe in the corner of his eyes. He told himself it was only fabric moving in the wind. There was no wind that night. There had been no wind for 4 nights. He crossed the room, meaning only to check the knots, to be sure the cloth was secure before he left. His hand found the edge of it, and before he could pull his hand away, the cloth fell on its own, pulling at the base of the mirror like something exhaling after holding its breath for a long time. His reflection was already there, already looking at him, already smiling. The same smile from 4 nights before, except now it did not wait for him to smile first. Tobena stumbled back, and his reflection did not stumble with him. It simply stood there, perfectly still, watching him with his own eyes gone strange and patient. You should not have come back, his reflection said, in his own voice. The words sounded almost right. Almost. Something beneath them was wrong. Not another voice exactly, but something deeper, like the sound of a second person breathing in the same throat. What are you? Tobena whispered. The reflection smiled. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then it slowly raised one finger and touched the glass from the other side. Tobena stared at the fingertip. A faint fog appeared around it, as though something on the other side of the mirror was breathing against the glass. Then the reflection whispered, Your grandmother knew. Tobena's blood ran cold. Knew what? The reflection smile widened, but it did not answer. Instead, it leaned closer to the glass, close enough that Tobena could see the tiny veins in its eyes. Then very softly, She never told you? Tobena shook his head. The reflection looked almost disappointed. Then it whispered something so quietly that Tobena could barely hear it. Good. And the reflection lifted its hand again. This time, Tobena noticed something that made his stomach drop. There was no reflection of his hand on the glass, only the one, waiting. Come closer. By morning, the compound was silent. The neighbors arriving to check on him after his sister raised the alarm found the room undisturbed, bed untouched, lamp burnt down to nothing, the little wooden box open and empty of its necklace on the floor. Of Tobenna, there was no sign at all, only the mirror had changed. The crack that once ran down its center had healed itself, smooth as still water, as though it had never broken before. His family covered it again that same day. New cloth, new red thread, knotted the old way, though none of them fully remembered why the knots mattered, only that they must. Some say Tobenna is still in there, somewhere behind the glass, waiting the way his grandmother once waited on the other side, keeping some new and hungry thing patient and small. Others say something else entirely, that if you visit that compound today and stand very still before the covered mirror in the last light of evening, you can sometimes hear two sets of breathing in that quiet room. So when the sun sleeps, my friend, and the house grows quiet around you, and some small curious voice in you wonders what harm one glass could do, remember Tobenna and the grandmother who spent 40 years guarding a door so that he would never have to open it, and never ever look into the mirror at night.